I want to tell you something that happens to me almost every time I'm on the verge of taking bold action, especially the kind that feels like it might shift something real in my life. I know I'm about to do something that matters, and right when I'm about to take that step, my body panics. Not dramatically, but strategically. Suddenly, I'm starving, or I absolutely need to make a cup of coffee. And if I'm really desperate to avoid the bold action, I'll start house cleaning voluntarily. It took me a long time to realize that none of these things were about hunger or caffeine or cleanliness. They were about avoidance. Hi there, I'm Wendy Rimmelsbacher, and welcome to the podcast show Dim to Daring. Do you feel like there's something bigger waiting for you, but you're not sure how to make it happen? You're in the right place. I'm here to bring you inspiring stories, powerful insights, and practical strategies to help you reignite your spark, realign with your purpose, and take those bold steps towards the life you were meant to live. Let's dive in, because you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. Welcome back to Dim to Daring. This is the final conversation in this 3-part series about transition, growth, and becoming the next version of yourself. We started with permission, releasing what no longer fits. Then we talked about peace, letting go of the exhausting need to prove your worth. Today, we're talking about what comes next. Because awareness is powerful, but awareness alone doesn't change your life. Insight doesn't create momentum, action does. If you've been with me for a while, you know I believe lasting change isn't built through giant leaps. It's built through bold decisions, followed by aligned action. And sometimes one brave decision is all it takes to start changing everything. Have you ever noticed how easy it is to keep learning without ever changing? You listen to another podcast, read another book, save another quote, or even buy another planner. It feels like progress because you're busy, but taking in more information doesn't move your life forward. Decisions do. Insight can sit on a shelf like a book you never read. It looks good. It feels productive. But knowing you're allowed to put something down isn't the same thing as putting it down. Just like knowing peace is possible isn't the same thing as living in peace. At some point, it all comes down to a decision backed by action, and that's what begins to build the momentum and trust to keep stepping more fully into you who is ready to be seen. Permission said, you're allowed to stop carrying what was never yours. Peace said, you don't have to earn the rest you already deserve. And now we're here, the part where all that becomes something you actually do. And honestly, this is where many people stall out, not because they don't believe the permission or the peace anymore, but because ready to move feels like it requires a dramatic overhaul, a whole new life, a 10-point plan, and the fear of what family or friends might think. It doesn't. It requires one decision and the action that follows it. Let me show you what I mean. I recently spent a weekend with my niece and her 4 kids, ages 9 to 14. It's an organized household. Each child is assigned a piece of the daily household workload, and they own it wholeheartedly. When it came time to prep a meal, I found myself feeling kind of in the way. Everyone had a job, but I didn't. Instead of forcing my way into being useful, the way company so often does when everything is already handled, I offered to help, was told there wasn't anything left to do, and I accepted that gracefully. I relaxed and watched the kids feed the dog, set the table, chop food, and fill the water glasses. I decided my job was to keep the conversation meaningful. And knowing I had a role, even a relaxed one, made it easier for me to sit still. It was uncomfortable because I like being useful, but that restraint taught me something. I don't have to earn my place in a room by doing something. Later, I realized this wasn't about the kitchen. It was about allowing myself to be something different. For years, I've tied my value to contribution, productivity, and usefulness. Standing back and simply enjoying the moment felt surprisingly hard. The brave decision wasn't dramatic. No one watching would have even noticed it. But internally, it was a shift. I decided not to force myself into a role that wasn't needed. I decided to trust that my presence and conversation were enough. And that's what brave decisions often look like. Those quiet choices that change the way you see yourself. So, what counts as brave? Well, I'll tell you. A brave decision doesn't have to look big from the outside. It might be saying no to something you'd normally say yes to. It might be finally making that appointment you've been avoiding. It might be telling someone the truth instead of the version that keeps the peace. It might be signing up for the thing you've talked yourself out of for the last 2 years. And it might be resting on a day when resting feels like failure. Brave isn't always grandiose. Brave is anything that moves you from, I know what I need to do, to, I took the first step. Transformation doesn't happen when you understand something. It happens when we act on what we understand. Before we go any further, I want to name something I see in myself and in so many driven women. When you finally get honest about what needs to change, you tend to overcorrect. You don't just say no to one obligation. You want to redesign your entire life by Friday. It feels like momentum, but it's actually a trap. When the goal is everything, you either burn out trying to do it all at once, or you get overwhelmed and do nothing. Courage doesn't grow intensity. It grows through repetition. One decision, made and followed through, teaches your nervous system something an entire overhaul never will. That you can trust yourself. That when you say you'll do something, you'll actually do it. And that trust is worth more than 10 abandoned decisions. Before we move on, I want to tell you something that happens to me almost every time I'm on the verge of taking bold action, especially the kind that feels like it might shift something real in my life. Earlier in my life, and honestly, still at times today, I can feel the moment coming. I know I'm about to do something that matters. I can feel the decision forming. And right when I'm about to take that step, my body panics. Not dramatically, but strategically. Suddenly, I'm starving. Or I absolutely need to make a cup of coffee right now. Or I decide I should call a friend. Or I let social media take me off on a shopping excursion. And if I'm really desperate to avoid the bold action, I'll start house cleaning voluntarily. I hate it when that happens. It took me a long time to realize that none of these things were about hunger or caffeine or connection or cleanliness. They were about avoidance. All these things were my nervous system's way of saying, this feels big. This feels risky. Let's slow this down. That's the thing about bold action. Your mind might be ready, your heart might be ready, but your body often needs a minute. And if you don't know your personal stalling move, you'll think you're failing. You'll think you're not ready. But I'm here to tell you, you are ready. Your body is just trying to keep you safe in the only way it knows how, by delaying the moment you step into something new. So let me ask you, What does your self-sabotaging move look like? Once you name it, you can catch it. And once you catch it, you can choose differently, even if your body is still buzzing with fear. That's the real brave decision, not the action itself, but the moment you stop delaying it. You might be asking me, what if I have more than one thing on my heart right now? Well, you might actually have 3 things sitting on your heart right now. And that's exactly where the all or nothing trap sneaks back in, camouflaged as thoroughness. So here's your filter. Don't pick the easiest one. Pick the one that scares you the most to say out loud. That's usually the one that's actually ready to move. And here's the thing. It will probably feel like fear in your body. Tight chest, tense shoulders, and shallow breathing. The urge to backpedal, over-explain, soften it before you've even said it. That feeling isn't a sign you picked wrong. It's a sign you picked right. So here's what I'm asking you to do this week. Not to make 10 decisions, and not to begin a total life overhaul. What I'm asking you to do is to make one brave decision you know you want to take. Maybe it's a conversation, maybe it's a boundary you want to set, and maybe it's a dream you've tucked away for someday. Whatever it is, choose one thing. Then take one action that moves it forward. Say it out loud or write it down the same way you wrote your permission slip a couple of weeks ago. Then do it. It doesn't have to be perfectly executed, and it doesn't even matter if fear comes with you. And if it comes out messy, if the conversation wobbles, if the boundary shakes, it still counts. You don't have to get it right. You just have to do it and be willing to do it again. Notice what happens on the other side, not just to your circumstances, but to how you see yourself, because that's what this is really about, building your new normal. Permission opened the door to allow change to happen. Peace changed how you walk through it. And now, your one brave decision is what moves you forward. A few weeks ago, I asked you to write yourself a permission slip. Today, I'm asking you to take one action that honors it. I don't know what your one brave decision is, but I have a feeling you already do, even if you haven't said it out loud yet. So I'm asking you to say it and then do it. That's how we move from dim to daring. Not all at once and not perfectly. We move forward by taking one brave decision at a time. Until next time, keep moving from dim to daring. Thank you so much for joining me today on Dim to Daring. If this episode resonated with you, I'd love it if you subscribed, shared it with a friend, or left a review. It helps more women just like you discover the show. Remember, you're not finished yet. You're just getting started. Until next time, keep daring to grow and shine.